Welcome back to Go Again Gaming and welcome back to the top 8 of the league that means nothing to. The stakes are as low as they have ever been. Today, I will be your commentator and my name is Ian and we will be talking about a game between the Warrior of Solana Boltyn, Roger Bodie, his signature hero, if you will, and Chris Chalk, a dyed in the wool, illusionist, max rarity kind of guy. We have seen this matchup once already, and Roger beat the crap out of Chris. No offense, Chris, but it was a hiding. Roger just saw everything he needed, played it perfectly, and yeah, it was just like, here are all my Luminas, here are all my everything. This is great. Live on life. Top 20 cards in my deck just has everything I need. Conversely, Chris has managed to go from that first defeat all the way into the top 8 now on Enigma. Some say Enigma might be the best deck in the format. Historically, not a great matchup for Warrior. You don't want to be facing Illusionist, and especially you don't want to be facing Enigma. Without further ado, though, I'm going to throw over to the gameplay, and we're going to see if Chris can get an ounce of revenge against Roger, or if Roger is going to repeat his success and punch his ticket to the semi-finals. And from what I can see on the table, it looks like we're running it back the exact same way for Mr. Bodie, with the Armory deck, boots and helmet, the Iron Song Versus, and the Soul Bond Resolve. The big change here for Chris on Enigma is the calming gesture, the new gloves that came in Rosetta. They are AB if you need it. So they're already strictly better Null Rune gloves, but they can be cashed in at any point for Spectral Shield, which all of a sudden turns your 1 mana Astral Etchings, which can have instant speed interactions if you control a Spectral Shield, into a 2 mana +3 on any card. Now we're going to lead here with a Engulfing Light in yellow from Roger. So this is just 2 power. On hit, goes to Soul. We're getting that Soul train started nice and early for Roger Bodie. And Chris is going to block here with a 3 power attack, a 3 power block, which obviously buffs Engulfing Light, but because it is a yellow, it still is not going to hit unless Roger has some sort of, nope, unless he has some sort of combat trick. But when has a warrior ever been known to have a combat trick? So Roger is just going to Arsenal Pass. Back to Chris with that Marvel, the cold foils, the extended arts, and a full art Manifestations of Mirror Guy. Only with 2 counters though. This is a baby dragon. It's not going to be swinging in for big damage, but Chris is just going to play it, pass, and let Roger deal with the ward. See, taking the time here for Chris to set up and get himself ready to go. So what is Roger going to do with this? Oh, no. In fact, he played that Mirror Guy on the end of Roger's turn by the looks of things. It allows him to filter some cards and draw up for his first real turn. So we're going to pitch a Miraging Metamorph and send in the clowns. Here is my 4 go again. 1 for 4 go again. That's about on right. And let's see what Roger says to this. This is a tough one because, as I've noted in previous games, Mirror Guy can just take over the game when it has 4 counters. Thankfully, only a baby one. But Roger is going to take the 4 and say, show me what else you got. And Chris says, here I have a Shimmers of Silver and a Stir the Pot. So we're going to use that beautiful Marvel Soup Cat Stir the Pot, shuffle up, transcend, and most likely we're going to activate Enigma and move to Arsenal. Yep, activation of Enigma, create a Spectral Shield, putting 3 defense on board. And all of those things are quite painful with Shimmers of Silver in play. We're going to move to Arsenal and draw. So let's see what Roger's plan is to deal with an ever-growing board state. Well, that's a good start. A take flight. So this is going to be a 3 if Roger chooses to charge, which I assume he will. It's going to be 3 go again. And because he is charging a banneret of courage, Soul Flare will trigger, generating him a courage token. So this is going to be the usual 3 go again. If you block with an attack action, surprise, it's 4. Now we have a card in hand, card in arsenal, and obviously we have Raiden Duskbane, one of the coolest weapons in Flesh and Blood. A 0 for 0 that can sometimes be a 0 for 3, that sometimes is a 0 for more. And that's going to be blocked out with a Vengeful by the looks of things, and we're going to flash in Illumina Ascension, or play Illumina Ascension. In fact, no flashing in, no Spirit of Erin has been found this game, but it's going to come in for 4 go again. 5 go again, in fact, because of that courage token. And now, again, we're threatening Chris in such a way where if he blocks with attacks, it gets buffed. And I imagine Roger is going to try and use this, plus some of his soul, to clear the board state of Chris Chalk. Again, back to thinking about it. And Chris is considering, yeah, we're going to give up that 10,000 year reunion. Roger is going to choose to activate Boltyn's hero text, giving it go again because its power is greater than its base. We're going to eat a Miragai and a 10k. 10k, pretty scary card when it wants to be. Use our floating resource to activate Ironsong Versus. On hit, this sword will generate a courage. We're going to go 4, potentially go again. We'll see. Chris now with 2 cards in hand, card in arsenal, and a Spectral Shield in play. We're lining up yet another block for the man from Cardboard Swords. Certainly looks like it. Yep, a 2 card block here. Phantasmaclasm and Astral Etchings. So obviously this puts Raiden up to 5. But it is still a full cover unless Roger has a Courageous Steel Hand. Throwing it up to 8. Going over the top of these 2 cards through a Spectral Shield and generating an on-hit. Unless Chris has some kind of reactions here. So I'm going to let the shield die, take 1 point of damage. Roger is going to put a card in his soul, refueling Boltyn. Raiden goes back to where it was. Cards in the graveyard. And we reset. Don't forget, Roger, you have a courage token here. We don't pay into Ironsong Versus for fun, you know. And draw 4. Chris simply going to tick up his tunic and pass. Now Roger left with full tempo after that big turn. Let's see how he decides to respond. Oh, let's see what we've got here. Chris just leaving his cards there as Roger contemplates his turn. Always tricky navigating an illusionist board state with Spectra in play. How much should you be targeting the auras, etc.? So we're going to start by pitching a Celestial Cataclysm, good old Sea Strike into Take Flight. Floating one, charging a saving grace, one of the amazing new cards in the Boltyn Armory deck. It is just extra copies of Soul Shield. Chris saying, yeah, no blocks, thanks for that. And we have Raiden for 3, popping Shimmers of Silver, up to 3 cards in Soul, card in Arsenal. No use for that spare resource. But hey, better to deal with anything that could potentially give Chris an out in this game. Chris going to start his turn playing a Waxing Spectre, pitching a Levels of Enlightenment. So because a blue was pitched, it does get a +1 counter, and critically, it gets Go Again from Cosmo. A 1 for 4 Go Again. Not too shabby. Now let's see what we've got following up. A Command and a Conquer. This just one of the staples of the game. Using your Tunic counter and a Phantasmaclasm, we're going to throw a big old CNC, and Roger going to front up some armor. Blocking 6, is he going to use the Helm of Halo's Grace to charge a card and draw a card, allowing him to cycle a card from his hand? Wrong one, as that's not the Warband of Bologna. It's very hard to remember because Boltyn is just being given equipment and equipment and equipment and pray that he gets better. So now let's see what Roger decides to do with his turn. Yeah, we don't put a counter on that Helm of Halo's Grace. It's blowed up. Showing off the beautiful Manorcast custom sleeves. All right, well, we're going to start with an activation of Iron Song versus pitching a Banneret of Gallantry. And then we're going to V of the Vanguard, charging an Engulfing Light. Just one charge. Now, V says, as long as attacks you control this combat chain gain +1 for each light card charged this way. So currently, all of Roger's attacks this turn are going to get +1 off a single resource. And that means all of them are primed for Boltyn's hero ability to provide free Go Again. Like Chris saying no blocks, Roger going to react, give it Go Again using Boltyn's hero text. I'm actually going to change. He charged the wrong card. Yeah. So we're going to give it Go Again. And Chris is going to have a Fate Foreseen. This is a big part of the trick of getting through Enigma's defenses for Boltyn. And here we go, Raiden for 4. I wonder if he could possibly give it Go Again. Going to think on this one, or are we going to let our Waxing Spectre play Get Down, Mr. President? And we've just got a block with a Phantasmal Footsteps. And we're going to let the Waxing Spectre absorb the rest of this sword swing. And we're going to. Oh, this is a good one. Where you've got a Beacon of Victory. X is 2. So we're going to pump that over and search our deck. What are we searching for here? I can't imagine Roger wants to search for Lumina right here because that would involve closing the combat chain and would make his V of the Vanguard somewhat awkward. We're going to get a Bolt of Courage. Excellent choice. On hit, draw a card. Never bad. We all love it. That's why Snatch is the best card in Flesh and Blood. I must say, Chris, for all this high power illusionist gaming you have going on, I see a white border CNC in your in your pitch zone. That's shocking, quite frankly. And here we have a Bolt of Courage coming in for 4. It seems to be some discrepancy on life totals there. 5, in fact, because obviously Raiden hit, creating a Courage. So Bolt of Courage coming in here for 5 on hit, draw a card, allowing Roger to keep this chain going a little bit longer. Chris saying no blocks. Roger saying, "Cool, I don't pass on reactions, brother. I gotta draw my card. I gotta give go again before I do that." And we have an Engulfing Light coming in for 4 to finish off this turn. On hit, going to Soul. Yeah, and Chris just taking it down to 25. Roger gets a card back in Soul. Pretty decent V of the Vanguard turn. Still have a card to Arsenal. Just what we wanted. And we're going to Phantasmaclasm. The good old 3 for 9. Express Lightning. Banner of Courage. Engulfing Light. And Take Flight. So which one is going to the bottom? Good old Vendilion click sometimes just wins the game. So Chris obviously trying to decide which. Yeah, we're going to ship that Take Flight to the bottom, try and make sure Roger does not have access to Easy Go again this turn. But ripped straight into the popper. Oh, that's a big oof. No damage. Or is Roger thinking, does he even want to do that? It looks like Roger is going to actually block with the boots as well, just so he can get the charge. Maybe. Yeah, he's going to block with the chest piece and the bolting blade to trigger Phantasm, but it will also allow him to charge this banneret, creating a courage token and setting up with a little bit of go again next turn. Things you hate to see as an illusionist player. Oh yeah, bottom that. Oh sick, you've drawn a 6 power attack. That's great. Cool and good. Express Lightning 5, Boltyn text active, charging that Engulfing Light. If Chris blocks with an attack, it gets +1. If Roger feels froggy, he can banish a card from his soul, and it becomes 5 go again all of a sudden. So Chris thinking about lining up his blocks, seeing how his turn works. Probably thinking about blocking two cards here. Or does he want those three cards to play? Thinking. Yeah, this is a pivotal turn here. While the life totals are pretty close, the tempo has been very decidedly in Bolton's favor here. Okay, we're going to just block with the traverse, go get some chi, and try and steal some tempo back. So very aggressive search. Chris obviously very upset about that Phantasmaclasm. And we're just going to follow that up with Activate Bolton, Raiden for 3. Chris happy to go to 19. Uh, and we have another go again. Following up with the humble Bolt of Courage for 1. Chris probably thinking about blocking. Oh, no. Yeah, have your card, have your arsenal. We're going to full send it back here. So let's see what. Yeah, we've got the Rage Spectre. That's a real good start. It is a 1 for 6 on Chris's turn, and we have a big dragon. So we have a 4 ward dragon, which is an 8 power dragon. And we're going to preserve tradition, putting an Astral Etchings back into our deck, making another chi. And we're going to use that chi to attack for a casual 14. Just a 2 resource 14. That's fine. And Roger is going to have to decide how best to answer this because this mirror guy could very quickly take over the game if it is not answered. Oh, we even had a resource floating from the Rage Spectre, so we have levels of enlightenment for go again, draw a card. So the best two modes on levels of enlightenment by far, go again, draw a card. Because if you're a card gamer, drawing cards is good. If you didn't know that, there's your lesson for the week. Roger looking at a 3 go again, probably just gonna, yeah. Three go again into the casual 8 go again. Sure, that's fine. This is fine. This is fine. 8 go again. Go to 22. Make a Spectral Shield, which can attack for 2 go again. Probably going to ignore this one as well. Maybe give up the boots here. Nope. Take 2. And then we have the Rage Spectre for 6. 14 damage. No, so Roger starting this turn at 33, going to 14, keeping 5 cards. And we're going to pop our calming gesture, make sure we have another spectral shield, just try and shore up these defenses. 7 wards sitting on board. So let's see what Roger does to answer this because he is now on cleanup duty. So we're going to start pitching in engulfing light, playing another yellow take flight, charging again. So we have a 3 go again. Again, if Chris blocks with attack actions, it becomes a 4. So he's blocking with an attack here, a Spectral Prowler, which puts it to 4. So we're probably going to eat the baby shield. Because Chris's real job here is to get to his turn with Miragai still in play and use his Tunic counter. Then we're going to play a Lumina Ascension. So that's 2 sword swings off the bat. And we're going to come in with Raiden Duskbane for 4. It has go. It can have go again on hit. Goes to Soul. Roger just going to give it go again. Chris going to respond with a Sink Below. Sinking a card, drawing a card. And Roger going to go, well, didn't work last time. Here's the 4 again. On hit, card goes to Soul. Life gets gained. Won't hit. Blocking for 2 with that Spectral Manifestations. Roger decides to give it go again. So this is going to eat that Spectral Shield and that Rage Spectre. And now we're going to follow up last thing with an Express Lightning for 4. Pushing a breakpoint, allowing that Miragai to pass away. Not the best Lumen Ascension turn you'll ever see, but it got rid of the big problem named Miragai, and Chris has a card left. So Tunic ticks up. Roger has drawn up here. No cards in Soul. Boltyn is soulless. And Chris just going to Arsenal pass. Start off yellow engulfing light. Oh baby, you better believe it. It's 2. Putting a banneret of gallantry into the Soul, generating a quicken token, which may or may not come in handy depending on how Chris blocks, or if he chooses to block at all. Obviously, the max punish here is if Chris blocks with a non-attack action and Roger has a Courageous Steel hand to go over the top. Chris just saying, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll take 2. Always call the bluff. If Boltyn doesn't have any onboard, go again. If he doesn't have any onboard tricks, it's fine. Roger simply moving to Arsenal, drawing up and passing. So now what does Chris do here? End of Roger's turn. He's going to double transcend, banishing a card from Roger's graveyard and gaining himself a life. Banishing one of Roger's Luminas, gaining a life, getting 2 chi, activating Enigma. So we have a Spectral Shield with a counter on it, going into Chris's turn. Exactly where he wants to be here, because this is just 2 free go again. Roger, taking 2. Don't need to use my armor for this. Switching a chi. Again into Enigma, making another Spectral Shield, but this one is, unfortunately for Chris, not free. Costs 1 whole mana, 1 whole resource to send in. You gotta foot the bill for the second one. Your first taste is free. Pitching a Phantasmaclasm, attacking for 1. 2 cards in hand. Well, paying 1, attacking for 2. Roger going to 10. Looks like Chris is getting ready to punch his ticket here, sending in 7 with this Miraging Metamorph. A card for many that when Prism was the deck to beat, just read, take 7. Otherwise, I might lose the game. Roger thinking about lining up his blocks here, blocking with a Bolt of Courage. Taking 4, going to 6. The life advantage very heavily in Chris Chalk's favor here. What does Roger Bodie have with his Quicken and his 4 cards? So we have a Express Lightning. Gets go again from this, charging a Spirit of Erina. That's pretty good. That ain't a bad one. So we have a 4 go again. Boltyn text active. Obviously, if Chris blocks with an attack, this will become 5 power. Yeah, instead, we're just going to get a Fate Foreseen. And then we'll have a Raiden come in for 3. Chris still got his entire hand here. So plenty of room to maneuver around this one. So we're going to block with an Astral Etchings in red. Roger going to activate his hero text, giving that sword go again. Follow it up with a Bolt of Courage for 3. Charging a Banneret of Courage, generating a Courage token. And coming in for 3 on hit, drawing a card. We're going to go Tunic and Shimmers of Silver here, keeping our board alive. Roger really going to be looking for his Lumina Ascension, his final one here, to push through the defenses here that Chris Chakov has established. Yeah, so we're going to start with a Shield for 2, 2 cards in hand. The old 2 go again. Block with this Courageous Steel hand, cover 2. Pitch a Shimmers of Silver, 2 go again. Blocking 3. And use the 2 resources floating. Oh, maybe? Yeah. For 1 for the Waxing Spectre, getting a counter, and 1 for it to attack for 4 go again. Or is he not attack? Oh no, of course it was only 2 floating, it just comes in. I was thinking of Waning Spectre. Waning Vengeance, that's the one. Roger activating, sending in Raiden, coming in for 1 on hit, make a Courage. Obviously not going to hit here. Letting that Spectral Shield soak up the hit. Roger moving to Arsenal. Now Chris very much in control of this game, sending in a shield for 2 go again. Roger taking this down to 4. Chris going to follow this one up. Just got a wealth of options in his 4 card hand here. What was a strong start for Mr. Bodie is looking to have swung very heavily in the favour of Chris Chalk. Good old Boltyn. Nothing beats that. Except for the stuff that does. Yep, pitching a Spectral Prowler here, floating 2 resources. Send in a Waxing Spectre for lethal. Roger giving up those new boots, which let him charge a card and generate a Quicken token if he so wishes. Choosing not to charge, just to take the 2. And then Chris has a Miraging Metamorph for the follow-up. No spot for Roger here. So they have to cover either cover 7 or trigger Phantasm, which will get Chris another Waxing Spectre. Roger in a spot of bother here. Giving up 2 cards. Oh, I imagine he was trying to set up a nice via the Vanguard turn with that Beacon of Victory. Taking a single point of damage. What is going to happen now? Well, it's going to be a blue engulfing light charging a savings grace. Oh boy, here comes one whole damages. That one's gone straight into a spectral shield. And we're going to Beacon of Victory it, giving it a +1, banishing a saving grace, and probably grabbing the very last Lumina Ascension for Roger to have his Captain Ahab moment from Hell's Heart. I stab at thee, or for the contemporary among us, and I say this with no sense of irony because contemporary in the friggin' 80s, Khan and Kirk. He tasks me and I must have him as it is. Highly recommended, by the way. Wrath of Khan. Please watch it. You do yourself a favor this weekend. Unless you're at ProQuest, play your ProQuests, win your ProQuests, and I'll see you in London. Yeah, Roger just going to let the Waxing Spectre take that hit. And then we're going to follow it up with Raiden for 3 with a mystery card in hand. Who knows what it could be? Oh, if this had been a V of the Vanguard turn, I think Roger might have been in the game. That Miraging Metamorph could not have been more timely for poor Roger Bodie. Chris looking at his 4 cards in hand, his wealth of resources. Really thinking about this block now. Obviously, it would eat the Spectral Shield and it would buy Roger some very much needed life in a very desperate spot in this matchup. And Chris just going to play async below, choosing not to sync, finding his defense reactions when absolutely necessary. And then we're going to double transcend as well. And one of those transcends is with the Sacred Art Immortal Lunar Shrine. That's fine and cool and good. Here, put some counters on all your Spectra. Transcend. Draw a card, then put a card on the bottom. I imagine we'll be shipping a Chi to the bottom because it's a card that doesn't do anything in this situation. And at the end of the day, we have 3 cards in hand. This is great. Chris loving life right now. I imagine Roger is decidedly not. Roger thinking about whether it's worth it to play the Lumina Ascension. Yeah, we're going to play it here. Gaining an action point because it's played as an instant, and now Raiden coming in for 4. On hit, card to soul, gain some life, etc. Not ideal, but look, hey, look at that, another fate foreseen. And that might be the last gasp for Roger Bodie here. Plummeted to the bin, drawing 4. 1 to 16, facing down. 5 power Inspector, more than 5 power, Jesus. 7 power Inspectral Shields. Each one lethal with 2 cards in hand, one of which is a Chi. Yeah, Roger just choosing to concede here. He sees the writing on the wall. He knows there's no outs here. And that's the game. Well played for Chris, getting his win back in a critical round because it is the quarterfinals. You get knocked out if you don't win your quarterfinal. That's it. Your tournament runs over. It doesn't matter how well you did up until this point. Well done, Chris. Commiserations on Roger. You wanted to bring Boltyn to a league that means absolutely nothing, and you did your best. But unfortunately, Boltyn might not be getting there anytime soon. He might not be winning nothing. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for enjoying the game and my commentary. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube pleasantries, all that good stuff. Tell us you can't wait for League 3. And I have been Ian. I've been your commentator. I've had a great time doing this. And if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at finals_spirit, which should be somewhere down here. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.